So yesterday when I was with my brother James, who you'll hear from later, he had said to me, when men get arrested, they call their attorney. And when women get arrested, they ask where are their children. And I thought that was one of the most impactful statements that I had ever heard, because it really showed the impact that incarceration has on women and children and what happens to them when they come home and they need housing to get their children back. So part of my story is I went to federal prison in 2012 as a result of a drug conspiracy charge. And I didn't know the impact that drugs had on communities or on people. I thought people took drugs because they wanted to. And then I realized quickly when I went into prison that people actually didn't have access to opportunity. They didn't have access to medical services. And so what happened was they actually just decided to use drugs as either a way to numb and heal their pain. And so God had placed on my heart that I needed to create the Ladies of Hope Ministries, which is an organization that helps women who are transitioning back from prison through education, entrepreneurship, advocacy, and spiritual empowerment. And one other thing that came on my spirit was that we need to have a network of safe housing for women who are coming home from prison. What we do know is that there are 1.1 million women who are under control of the U.S. criminal justice system. Female incarceration has ballooned to an 800% increase since 1990. And so the women in prison are who? Women like me. 86% of us are survivors of sexual assault. 80% are mothers. 77% are survivors of partner violence. And more than 50% suffer from serious mental illness. And so what does that mean? Upon release from prison, people are asked to navigate many new obstacles, entering cycles of hidden incarcerations, assess basic needs, housing, employment, and healthcare. It becomes nearly impossible to do. And so when a man comes home, where do they go? Usually back to their mothers, their grandmothers, their wives, their lovers. But when a woman comes home, where does she go? Back on the street, relying on a man for food or shelter, unable to get her kids back in a healthy and sustainable way. And then the cycle of recidivism continues. And so we all know that prison equals bad business. And so can you imagine if any other business venture failed 3 and 4 times? It's time that we reimagine what justice and rehabilitation look like. And so when I came home, there was a network of sisters around this country who were doing phenomenal work, which encouraged me to do the same. Women like Susan Burton, who has a new way of life in California, Sybil Fox Rich, which owns a car dealership in New Orleans, or Celeste Wells, who has an innovative product called Save My Edges, which helps women who want to have weaves to make sure that they don't lose their edges. And so the way I reimagine the future is that when women are released, they can come into one of our Hope houses. They'll be able to stay there for 1 year. And then we can scale and expand to our LOHM cooperative, which a woman will be able to have permanent housing and own shares within the co-op, which also creates community for them. And so what does this do? It expands, it will reduce recidivism, it'll save public money, and also turn the lives around of women through economic empowerment, fostering community and family relationships, protection of our sisters, leadership training and development, spiritual empowerment, and advocacy training and a toolkit. And so one of the sisters who are in Hope House right now, she's 27 years old. She's a survivor of sex trafficking and abuse. She has 5 children by 5 different men in South Carolina, and she was dropped off in New York. And when we met her, she was in a shelter, didn't know what she wanted to do. And when we asked her what did she want to do for purpose, she wanted to start her own hair salon called Blessed Hands. And so we helped her to get back into cosmetology school, and now she's on the road to rebuild her life. And this has happened in only 2 months. And so the way we seem to scale this is we have connected in a national network around the country with women who are formerly incarcerated who actually want to open a Hope House of their own in their city. And so we've identified ways and places around the country where we can actually make that happen right now. We'll be able to have women who have safe housing for themselves and their children. And just like Marcus, we too have been featured in CNN and New York Times and Vice and even Vogue magazine. And we're super, super excited because right now the only thing we need to get this done is $1.5 million, which will help us to have more Hope houses in New York, in Brooklyn and Long Island, to secure a 50-unit building in Harlem for the LOHM Cooperative. And this money will also help us to scale across the country, to have real estate partners where we can then also get people to repurpose property around the country that'll also help us to build our model, and then a network of attorneys that'll help sisters to get their children back. And so if anyone is here and they're interested in helping us to create sustainable lives for our sisters who are coming home to prison, please reach out to me at hopehouse.nyc. Thank you.